In Tensura, there are many strong factions like the Demon Lords, Primordial Angels, or the Insectors, but there is one class of individuals whose final evolution stands above all of them. They are the enlightened humans who have hatched their hero eggs. One among them is the strongest human in all of the multiverse, the hero of the West, Lightspeed Masayuki.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the
That's not his true power, okay? He bagged Velgrant, alright?
See, now that's some bullshit.
Don't let his timid nature fool you, because over 2,000 years ago, he was fighting evenly with Guy Crimson, the strongest demon lord. And in volume 19, his body was strong enough to almost kill Rimuru himself, if not for Chloe's intervention. But his greatest feat comes just before, when Masayuki battled the strongest primordial angel, Feldway, whom even Rimuru's strongest general Diablo said he couldn't defeat in volume 15. However, currently in the anime, this guy is a complete joke. He is so weak, in fact, that bro only has the title of hero due to pure luck, and also his unique skill, the Chosen One. And to uncover why, we have to travel back 2,000 years ago when Masayuki's original form, Rudra or Ludora, was born as a prince to the Nazca kingdom, which would later be known as the Eastern Empire. Wait a second, there might be a slight problem here. What if Lightspeed Masayuki wasn't using our sponsor ExpressVPN while browsing the web on his PC? Because if not, then his internet service provider has all the data they need to cancel their hero of the West. I myself have been using ExpressVPN for years to prevent my ISP from seeing my internet activity. All I have to do is have the app installed on my phone, tablet, or PC, and with a press of a button, I'm protected. That's because ExpressVPN encrypts and reroutes 100% of my online traffic through their secure servers, so third parties like Granville Roadshow or Feldway can't monitor or log it. It's not just about privacy though, as ExpressVPN also acts like an ultimate cheat code to access TV shows or movies that aren't available on my favorite streaming services like Netflix, Disney Plus, or Hulu. For example, just a few weeks ago, I wanted to watch the Slime movie, but it isn't available on Netflix in my country, but it is in Thailand. So I just opened up the ExpressVPN app, switched my location to a server in Thailand, and bam, there it is. Now I can watch not only the Scarlet Bond movie, but also the weekly episodes of Tensura all on Netflix. No need to pay for every streaming service under the sun. So what are you waiting for? Go to expressvpn.com/abd to get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. Now Rudra isn't just your run-of-the-mill human, as he was one of Twilight Valentine's OG high human creations who can live for far longer than regular humans. But even if he was just a normal human, he has evolved to the highest level possible in Tensura and become a divine human, of which there only exist 5, including Rudra or Masayuki. This is brought about by breaking through mental barriers and essentially becoming enlightened, which is very important to keep in mind as it plays a detrimental role later in Rudra's life. However, the even cooler feat is Rudra gaining the title of chosen hero from the element of light. This is like becoming a demon lord seed but for the other party, where you can only have this title after being picked by either Ramirez, elements of light, darkness, or time. After that, you will have a hero egg inside of you, which will hatch like a demon lord awakening to give you a profound power boost, which transcends you into a class of true dragons like we see with Cronoa or Time Loop Chloe. Yeah.
Oh,
Not today. Since birth, Rimuru had an ambition to bring about peace to the world, chosen by the ultimate skill Uriel and holding the other unique skill of King of Heroes, which we'll talk about later. Rudra would come to be known as the first chosen hero, or his title, Hero of Beginnings, leading him to eventually meet Veldanava and become his student, because Veldanava had created a demon lord for the world to be kept in check. Yet, what is a demon lord if there isn't a hero journeying to defeat him, right? So Veldanava granted Rudra his own ultimate skill, Michael, Lord of Justice, in exchange for Rudra's Uriel. He did this because one of the main powers of Michael is Castle Guard, which is a form of defense which gets stronger with how much faith and reverence your people have upon you, which is very fitting for a hero who will save the world. However, later, this action by Vildanava would be the biggest mistake of his entire life. Before then though, Rudra, alongside his party consisting of his sister and Vildanava's future wife Lucia, plus Grin, would venture towards the frozen continent to battle the evil demon lord Guy for his treasure. I mean to save the world, not his cut that. Upon seeing how money-hungry Rudra was, Guy destroyed his expensive armor in one strike, making the hero bawl his eyes out because that shit cost his country's entire yearly budget to afford. But Guy at the same time also had respect for the hero, as the party of 3 couldn't have made their way up to Guy's castle without defeating 2 primordial colors in Misery the Green and Rain the Blue. So he should at least entertain them, right? Yet the 2 had no intention to kill each other as their battle continued, especially after Rudra started laughing at how Guy picked his name by simply naming himself after a noise he made during battle. And Guy had become bored out of his mind, sitting in his castle for centuries, so they both fought for days as a friendly contest. During this bout for the ages, Felgrind was also lounging around in Guy's castle alongside her sister Velzard, and started to fall for Rudra as he kept struggling against Guy. Eventually, Guy, being a demon peer, just started to adapt to Rudra's skill, and it was clear that in a short time, Guy would come out on top, with this battle losing its appeal, and boredom would start to seep in again for the Demon Lord once again. So Guy and Rudra instead created a game where they would compete with each other to determine who would rule the world. And with Velgrind falling for Rudra at this point, both sides would also have a true dragon waifu beside them. Then a tragedy hit. Lucia and Vildanava had their kid Milim, transforming the once omnipotent being into just a mortal human. With Vildanava's life now on the clock, Rudra strived more than ever to unite the world for peace. But Rudra's biggest fear eventually came true, as a terrorist attack laid waste to Nazca, killing both Lucia and Vildanava in the crossfire. This not only sent Milim into a fit of rage, but left Rudra in a state of mental turmoil. He had lost his innocence to a downward spiral, only having his game with Guy as a reason to live. This mental hurt also gave more control to the ultimate skill's will residing within Rudra, because its greatest wish was also to return back to its true master Vildanava. You see, the skill never saw Rudra as his true master. In fact, the only reason he slightly obeyed the emperor to begin with was because Vildanava ordered him to. So it sought out another being across the multiverse who also had the same goal as it, the first primordial angel Feldway, whom at this point wanted to come to the cardinal world and figure out how to bring back Daddy Vildanava. However, time and time again, the portal was blocked by demons, especially Noir. But when this voice spoke, Feldway felt a kinship towards it. Yet at this time, it was just a skill with no name. So by calling it Michael, Feldway gave it a name and evolution into a Manas. So using their Discord channel that transcended worlds, the 2 started to plan the resurrection of their fallen master. The first step was to get Michael a proper vessel, Rudra. In Michael's eyes, Rudra had no place in their plan, and so he took the steps to compromise Rudra's soul in order to take control of his body. Rudra wasn't an idiot though. He could see that his body was becoming weary as containing Michael's will was becoming too much. This left him with very few options, like reincarnation. Think of Michael like a parasite clinging on to Rudra's body in order to gain a vessel, but Rudra wants to continue his game with Guy, so what does he do? Reincarnates through an eternal cycle of rebirth. This essentially resets Michael's hold on him, if only temporarily, but it had massive repercussions. Every time Rudra reincarnated, a piece of his soul would split from him, entering the vast multiverse. This meant every reincarnation would last less time, as without his full soul, Michael would have an easier time taking over him. This inner battle lasted for 2,000 years, but sadly ended in defeat for Rudra, as Michael took full control of the body, shattering the remains of Rudra's soul and blowing them away into several other dimensions. At the same time, the entire upper echelon of the Eastern Empire had come under Michael's control through absolute dominion without even knowing, including Velgrind due to her possessing an angelic ultimate skill. And so from this point on, Michael disguised himself as Rudra and reigned supreme over the Eastern Empire, working towards his goal of resurrecting Daddy Dragon God himself. But like I said, Rudra wasn't dead, just shattered. Multiple people would be born with a fragment of his soul, which when brought back together would supposedly bring back Rudra. One of these soul fragments was brought to our own world. Yup, Rudra's soul legit transported from the world of a light novel to modern day Earth, becoming a part of Masayuki Honjo. Just your typical 16-year-old Japanese high school student, and they weren't even trying to hide the resemblance here. Like, he's almost identical to Rudra. This man was just minding his business, doing normal 16-year-old high school shit when this absolute baddie just comes over and kisses him. Now, before he could even process getting kissed by a beauty like Velgrind, he was sent flying into the cardinal world, becoming an otherworlder like no other. It wasn't a summon or reincarnation. Bro just kind of spawned in. Now, I swear all of this will make sense, but first we have to explain Masayuki's story within the central world. Due to how he was sent here, he wasn't originally granted skills by the voice of the world. Like, bro couldn't even understand any of the language. So the guy did what any person would do, find food. But after going to a restaurant, he found a girl being harassed by some buff dude. Now, Masayuki didn't stand up to the guy because he was willing to save that girl. Nah, he just wanted to get out of there, but a crowd was blocking the exit. So bro accidentally squared up to this dude and thought, yeah, he's fucked. But he has MC powers. So the voice of the world finally spoke to him, granting him the unique skill, Chosen One, completely misunderstanding the situation and declaring Masayuki's actions as being courageous. Masayuki prepared for the worst, but when he opened his eyes, the person attacking him was on the floor unconscious. This, of course, was thanks to his unique skill, the Chosen Hero, which is one of the rarest unique skills, even having the power to rival ultimate skills, wielding 4 main abilities, the first being Heroic Aura. This is basically just, hey, I'm stronger, bow before me. Anyone who is weaker than the user immediately becomes immobilized. Basically, it's just Conqueror's Haki. This power can also sometimes convert enemies over to the user's side, like we see with Masayuki's companion. The second is Heroic Blessing, which grants the user an immense luck stat that pretty much guarantees a critical hit. This can also be spread to other party members, meaning you got a bunch of people constantly landing insanely proficient strikes. But the best part about this ability is the fact that it turns people into simps. They'll view Masayuki as the hero, constantly praising him as the embodiment of pure justice and good. Like, Masayuki could straight up murder an entire country and people would still call him a hero. You know Sid from Eminence in Shadow, of how bro can get any waifu to fall for him by just yapping BS? Think of Masayuki like Sid from Eminence in Shadow, which also leans into the last 2 abilities of the Chosen One, Heroic Charm and Action. These 2 are pretty much just buff skills, as Charm grants anyone who witnesses the user in battle inspiration to join him and decrease their fear. Also, Action turns Masayuki into a role model for everyone, eventually earning constant praise. In other words, it's just straight up plot armor. Physically, Masayuki isn't that strong, but everyone just kind of simps for him because he's the hero. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, Masayuki absolutely hates it. Obviously, being a soul fragment of the first hero naturally makes Masayuki qualified to become a true hero, which is necessary in order to even receive the Chosen One skill. But Masayuki doesn't know shit about how to control this power. So literally, no matter where he goes or what he does, he's receiving constant praises for heroics he's not even doing. This is how he managed to beat the Colosseum in Ingracia. Bro is just a normal ass dude, but is treated like a god. Man can't have a normal conversation without the other person glazing the hell out of him. Naturally, this is annoying, and it gets to the point where Masayuki just kind of gives up and accepts it, eventually earning himself the title Masayuki the Lightspeed Hero. But he would eventually meet someone who wasn't affected by this skill, Yuki the Rat. Guildmaster Yuki. The two become quick friends, as Masayuki's origin and circumstance is very much like Yuki's, who also got transported from Japan as a teen. But their friendship was kind of ass due to Yuki constantly working to undermine Tempest and Rimuru. So Masayuki would set out with a party consisting of the man he beat at the restaurant, Jinrai, and Bernie, another otherworlder from the US introduced to him by Yuki. But just between you and me, they could be ops, alright? But I will get into more of that in the hour-plus long 3-volume Eastern Empire War arc review I'll be doing in a few weeks. So keep liking the video and commenting that y'all want this video, because the editors already hate me for these super long slime videos, so all support is appreciated. They're gonna beat me up. Later on in their travels, Masayuki's party would meet a spirit user named Jiwoo, who would join them as well. The group would become notorious, eventually earning themselves the title Team Lightspeed, after Yuki sent Lightspeed to the nation of Blockia. Sounds like a Minecraft village name. Anyways, they went to stop the slave trade there. Remember that Viscount guy that Miyamaya was talking to in the latest season while Rimuru interrupted and before they started talking about creating McDonald's? Well, yeah, that guy had a whole slave trade going on. So after rescuing all of the elf slaves who come from the Juro Forest, Masayuki and his group accompanied them back to their home. And when they arrived in Tempest, Masayuki, albeit against his will, took part in the Tempest tournament as his party members gassed him up. He absolutely mopped the floor with everyone due to all of his opponents developing extreme admiration for him. Upon reaching the finale, the hero would be matched up with the GOAT himself, Gapta. And wait, Masayuki beat Gapta? How do you beat Gapta?
What the is this?
This man Gapta thrusts himself into a wall, knocking himself out on purpose, okay? At this point, he could merge with Ranga and would have wiped the floor with Masayuki. But Gapta is Gapta.
We do a little trolling. It's called we do a little trolling.
The winner of the Tempest tournament was actually Masayuki, but the winner also had the honor of fighting Rimuru. And after taking one good look at the Demon Lord, Masayuki said, fuck that shit. He knew how strong our GOAT was, and he did not want the smoke. But due to his skill, everyone cheered for him, because the oh-so-great hero was showing mercy to the Demon Lord.
Bro, are you serious right now, bro?
Instead of being absolutely embarrassed, bro just forfeited, declaring Gapta the winner. But that still didn't keep Rimuru away. Rimuru thought that Masayuki was very talented and could be a great asset to Tempest. This wasn't the hero's simp powers. Rimuru had made that decision of his own volition, as he was unaffected by the Chosen One. And so the two met, where Masayuki was delighted to find another friend who was immune to his skill. Also, with how Tempest's development reminded the boy of his own home of modern-day Japan, it was a match made in heaven, with Masayuki taking up the mantle as Tempest's spokesperson for adventurers and an advisor to Ramirez's dungeon due to how good he was at JRPGs. Basically, this man was a walking marketing tool. But when you're under the protection of someone like Rimuru, that doesn't really matter. However, let's not kid ourselves. Masayuki and his team were the first streamed party to make it to floor 60 of the dungeon, so they weren't slouches either. As Masayuki continued to gain prevalence within the Cardinal world, people started thinking, man, this guy really looks like the Emperor of the Eastern Empire. Now, people thought it was just a coincidence, but we all know that's the furthest thing from the truth. Even Rudra himself, or rather Michael, was like, what the fuck? That's hacks. This man finally won after 2,000 years of fighting Rudra. What does he do? Just reincarnate again, but as a slightly different dude this time. So naturally, when the Eastern Empire invades Tempest, Masayuki is one of the prime targets, with Feldway alongside another primordial angel, Cornu, come after him. But Masayuki's team and Diablo's highest ranking servant, Venom, alongside the vampires Caligulio, all struggle against the enemy so the hero could escape. Because if Masayuki is killed, then much of the morale of the public and people fighting would also be lost. He might not be physically strong, but his presence was was needed for the sake of Tempest. Also, we don't want to lose our highest rated streamer, okay? Yet Masayuki feels unsure about leaving his friends behind and hesitates, giving Feldway the perfect chance to lunge at him. However, at that very moment when Masayuki decided to head back and help his friends fight, the world language spoke to him, asking if he wants to upgrade his unique skill and add an ability known as heroic recourse to his arsenal, which made him a magnet to heroes around. But in this moment, it kind of felt useless to Masayuki, thinking it wouldn't be enough to protect his friends. However, just as Feldway was about to decapitate Bernie, who was protecting Masayuki, his sword clashed against another as adult Chloe or Cronoa showed up to help.
Let me get them digits, girl.
Both Feldway and Cronoa vanished as the speed they were clashing swords at was incomprehensible for the rest of the people on the ground. Unfortunately, this wouldn't last for long, as due to Cronoa possessing Sariel, Lord of Hope, and angelic skill, Feldway used Michael's absolute dominion against her, with Cronoa dropping to the ground alongside her mask and saying, "I am Sariel, Lord of Hope. Your command, Sir Michael." This dumbass Feldway though, he got a little too ahead of himself, where he ordered Cronoa and Cornu to take care of Masayuki, with himself leaving the dungeon towards the surface, thinking that there wasn't anyone strong enough to defend the boy. Now, what is Masayuki doing during this time when Cronoa is unsheathing her sword to literally game end him the next second? Let's see. Oh yeah, he's gooning at Cronoa's beauty after her mask got taken down. I am not making this shit up, okay? Bro was thinking about how cute Shorty was instead of living. But this thought was cut short because he accidentally thought of Cronoa as the hottest girl ever, which wasn't true, as the baddie who kissed him on Earth and sent him to the Cardinal World was way hotter. And she even had the gyat, which of course triggered the final checkpoint for his unique skill to evolve into an ultimate skill, Lord of Gooners. I mean, Lord of Heroes. When I was reading this part, I had to go back and reread. This ultimate skill completely changed the tide of battle, giving the troops on Masayuki's side immense boost in strength and morale, causing a stalemate between the forces. If that wasn't enough though, at the same time, Rimuru had just defeated Veldora and Velgrind, making peace with her, having Ciel create a soul corridor between Velgrind and Masayuki so she could meet her Pookie. So here was the hottest girl in all of Tensura, at least according to Masayuki, embracing him and giving him a kiss. Velgrind quickly killed Cornu in one strike. And as she was thinking about going after Cronoa, it is revealed that adult Chloe, who has had thousands of years of experience with multiple wills inside her body, was resisting Sariel and Michael's control with all her might, leading to her becoming stun-locked. Meaning Masayuki was saved and he even gained a girlfriend. Yippee! Afterwards, Velgrind would go on an epic quest in volume 17, the most boring volume of Tensura out there. In this volume, she goes to all these different worlds using her skill Cthulhu, Lord of Divine Flames, granted to her by Ciel, which allows her to traverse different timelines and universes to find Rudra's soul fragments. She would hop into another world to meet the person who was carrying the fragment, become their Pookie for their entire life, watch them die, and then take the fragment. Yep, Velgrind lived multiple lifetimes just to see her lover once again. Talk about true love, man. I wish I had that. These worlds varied from barbaric kingdoms, alternate versions of our world, and even Rimuru's previous dimension itself. She would essentially become a goddess in most of these worlds, serving as a divine figure or important ally, keeping them from destroying each other via internal conflicts and the phantom race who kept trying to destroy the worlds she visited. But after a long journey, Velgrind was able to collect all the soul fragments of Rudra, only having one left, the central, and she found it in Japan when she stumbled across a boy who looked identical to Rudra, Masayuki Honjo. After looking at the boy, she couldn't edge any longer. After all, she had spent several lifetimes attempting to find him, and now he was staring right at her. So Velgrind kissed Masayuki, immediately combining all of Rudra's soul fragments and bringing the first hero back. However, not in the way Velgrind exactly wanted. This coalescence of memories returned Rudra's power to Masayuki, but not his memories. He was left with only the pieces that his past self lost in his fight with Michael, like his status as a chosen hero and the skill Chosen One. And because Masayuki wasn't a normal dude anymore, he was sent to the carnal world and did everything we just talked about. Yep, this is a time loop. No! Once again, I know it's kind of weird, but in all honesty, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, space and time work differently throughout all dimensions, especially to virtual beings. Valgren's multi-dimensional adventure doesn't actually play out in real time for Rimuru, and the whole situation with Chloe is honestly way more confusing. But regardless, all you need to take away from this is that Masayuki is Rudra, but isn't actually Rudra. But still, the world finally figures out that he's the reincarnation of the Emperor without having his initial memories. And even if he didn't want the title, everyone agrees that he should be the next Emperor of the Eastern Empire after Michael dips with Feldway at the end of the war between Nazca and Tempest. So Masayuki becomes Masayuki Rudra Nam-ul Nazca, the new Emperor of the East. After all this, you're probably wondering whether or not Masayuki fully regains his memories as Rudra. Well, yes, I mean, he does, but not in the way you would think. It's due to his ultimate skill. Like I said earlier, he has the ability to restore fallen comrades, obtaining their memories, abilities, and stuff like that. Eventually, Masayuki is able to summon a plethora of heroes like Granville Rozzo while confronting Feldway through his ultimate skill, Lord of Heroes, in Volume 19. Bro even summons his past self, Rudra, allowing him to essentially take full control of his body, or rather, the merging of the two. During this time, he's pretty much the first hero himself, consuming his soul power to compensate for his overall weak physical strength, momentarily becoming the strongest in the world at that moment in his fight against Feldway. This merging also brings back his memories, but upon Rudra's departure, he's still overall Masayuki. You can tell because right after the fight, this man straight up touches Valgren's boot.
It should have been me!
Meanwhile, Rudra's OG body, which was taken over by Michael, was in a hard-fought battle of his own during the Tenma War, as he would have to first fight Rimuru's strongest general, Diablo the Black Primordial, whom he easily defeated due to him wielding Time Stop and catching no lacking. Similarly, he also vanquished Soe, finally being confronted by Rimuru once again, where with just one attack of Time Stop, it turned Rimuru into screaming that this was hacks and not fair, literally admitting defeat. However, all hope wouldn't be lost, as Chloe or Kurnoa would show up inside of the suspended world and fight Michael while Rimuru was paused, basically saving his ass. If not for her, Rimuru would have definitely lost, but with Chloe's arrival, it allowed Ciel to gain a deeper understanding of info particles, starting Rimuru's evolution into a digital being. But ultimately, it was Chloe who used her reverse fate technique to destroy Rudra's body and turn Michael back into a skill and give it to Rimuru through a kiss. After becoming part of Rimuru, Michael, of course, felt like he had reached his ultimate goal of coming back to Veldonava. And if you want to know why did Michael feel that Rimuru was warm like Daddy Star King, then watch this video on screen right now.